Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusuta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions, and thank you in advance for taking the responsibility to apply these teachings in your lives. Today we are going to revise Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Unit 21, which covers chapters 1, 2, and 3, where you all devotees will be doing your respective presentations. Start with Mother Jija for Canto 5, Chapter 1, the first half.
Hare Krishna to all devotees. I offer my obeisances to our Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ji. I seek blessings from all devotees. Kindly forgive me for any mistakes and shortcomings in my presentation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we learned about great kings like Prithu Maharaj, Puranjana, Prachina Barisat, and the Prachetas. In Canto 5, we start with the activities of Priyavrata and how he was convinced by Lord Brahma to become the ruler of the universe. Priyavrata was the son of Swayambhava Manu and grandson of Lord Brahma. Priyavrata's spiritual guru was Sri Narada Muni, who had advised him not to enter household life and get entangled in material affairs. Narada Muni had taught Priyavrata to engage his mind in spiritual activities called Brahma Satra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Since there was no suitable kings after the Prachetas, Swayambhuva Manu went to Gandhamadana hill to bring back his eldest son Priyavrata, who was meditating there. Lord Brahma is called Bhagavan because Brahma carries the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna in his heart and executes the order of Sri Krishna. Lord Brahma is the secondary creator of the universe and was born directly from Vishnu. So Lord Brahma is called Atmayoni. Lord Brahma, who was the grandfather of Priyavrata, was determined that Priyavrata ruled the universe. So Lord Brahma descended from Brahmaloka, accompanied by great sages like Marishi, Atreya, and Vashishta. Lord Brahma explains reasons as to why Priyavrata must rule the universe. The reasons are: one must accept with faith what Lord Sri Krishna gives us. Our jiva depends on Sri Krishna's orders, and one must obey the order of Varna and Ashrama. Sri Krishna's orders are unavoidable by anyone. Become liberated and self-controlled and unaffected by household materialistic life and surrender to Sri Krishna. These were the reasons given by Lord Brahma to his grandson Priyavrata. At first, Priyavrata is in dilemma, as the instructions given to him by great authorities are opposites. Convinced by Lord Brahma's reasons, Priyavrata ruled the universe. King Parikshit was puzzled, bewildered, and in great doubt. So he questioned Sukadev Goswami about King Priyavrata. The question is, how was it possible for King Priyavrata, who was attached to family, to achieve topmost perfection in Krishna consciousness? Sukadev Goswami's reply was, glory in devotional service. Sukadev Goswami explains that King Priyavrata was simultaneously attached to devotional service and family life. King Priyavrata surrendered to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and experienced a higher taste, that is, bhakti for Sri Krishna. A Krishna conscious devotee treats his family members as devotees of Sri Krishna. King Priyavrata was a liberated person, self-controlled and unaffected by household life. Bulls tied by a rope in their nostrils move according to the direction of the driver, completely surrendered to the driver. Similarly, being completely surrendered to Sri Krishna, one should not aspire for happiness or regret distress, but be satisfied with the position allotted to us by the Lord and move according to the instructions of the Vedas and follow the path of devotional service. Thus, King Priyavrata achieved topmost perfection in Krishna consciousness. In household life, one who conquers mind and senses is like a king in a fortress who has conquered all enemies. But if one has uncontrolled mind and senses and lives in a forest alone to become a yogi, it is meaningless, because his uncontrolled mind and senses go along with him, and he is living with 6 co-wives. A Krishna conscious devotee seeks the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, is protected from all dangers. He has no fear of anything. Everything becomes easier for him as he engages his senses in the service of the Lord Sri Krishna and dovetails all activities for Sri Krishna. Thus, King Priyavrata's devotional service and being totally surrendered to Sri Krishna made his life successful. Sri Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala and loves his true devotee. One should follow the Lord as a blind man follows one who has eyes. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18.65, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, mad yaji mam namaskuru, mam evasyasi satyam te, pratikjane priya sime. The Lord Sri Krishna says, think of me, become my devotee, and offer respect and obeisances unto me. Then you will certainly come back home, back to Godhead. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Thus, Priyavrata, according to Lord Krishna's order, ruled this universe. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Super excellent. Uncle will finish rest of the chapter.
Hare Krishna. All the assembled devotees, I seek permission and blessings from you all. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Paramara, and Sri Radha Radha Krishna, seeking permission and being able to speak. Should there be any shortcoming, please forgive me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before I start sharing my humble realization from Canto 5, 20 to 41, I would like to share, all of you are being ardent devotees of Lord Krishna. Let me share from Srimad Bhagavatam the blessings what we have received, which is relevant today and tomorrow and there. Simply, this is from Bhagavatam, Canto 1.7.7. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna sprouts up without fail at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Meaning, not only automatical ability to capture sound waves through the ear, but also mentally processing. Rajesh Prabhuji started apply these things into our mind. That is what it stuck to my mind. I thought I'll share with you. Oh. Now, prelude. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, 1 to 20. Jija Mataji is covered wonderfully well with visuals as usual, but every time it is motivating me also. The narration occurred on the basis of banks of the Ganges River, where the great sage Sukadeva Goswami narrates to King Parshit the extraordinary life of King Priyavrata, the eldest son of Swayambhu Manu, towering figure in Vedic history. This chapter spans 41 verses, and I am privileged to share my humble realization from verses 20 to 41, covered in 3 parts. Priyavrata's initial spiritual instruction and renunciation under Narada Muni through acceptance of royal duties at Lord Brahma's earnest personal request to his illustrious reign over the entire earth, his marriage, his progeny, his astonishing cosmic deeds, and finally his profound renunciation. Once more, he surrendered everything at the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every act of Priyavrata is a shining testament that material enjoyment and spiritual liberations are not contradictory in the hands of a pure devotee, but they become the same. Part 1, Priyavrata accepts Lord Brahmaji's request. Prince Priyavrata, a Mahabhagavata, by the grace of the Lord, conferred as Bhagavan, being a pure devotee, considers himself a servant of the Lord, and under the guidance of the great sage Narada Muni, has attained a high level of transcendental knowledge and devotional attachment. Knows the desire to rule, he sought only the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet. Yet, Lord's arrangement is often beyond the calculation of even the greatest devotees. Everything is under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a bull is controlled by a rope tied to its nostrils, it moves strictly as per the direction of the driver. However, Lord Brahma personally approached Priyavrata with a divine request that he rule the universe for its proper order and maintenance for the welfare of all living beings, as ordered by the Supreme Lord. At this point, Priyavrata faces the dilemma and profound transition, yet understands that the will of the Supreme Lord is expressed through Brahmaji and humbly bows his head and accepts the order without personal motive. Acceptance is not ambition, but it is surrender to elevate the role of rulership into devotional service, which becomes a spiritual practice. Proper governance is also the purest form of spiritual service to God. Part 2, Priyavrata's rule, marriages, descendants, and wonderful activities. Priyavrata becomes the universal emperor. During his reign, peace, prosperity, and righteousness prevailed across the globe. Citizens lived in happiness, for they were governed by the soul who saw the Lord in all beings. Although Priyavrata was completely freed from all material contamination, he ruled the material world just to honor the orders of his superiors. Srila Prabhupada reveals that Priyavrata ruled the earth for 11 manvantaras, an almost incomprehensible vast span of time. One manvantara is equivalent to 307 million years. Among all his deeds, his conquest of darkness with incomparable determination and spiritual power, he took his radiant chariot, drove 7 times around the globe, carving out of it 7 oceans and creating 7 continents, shaped the geography of the earth. Srila Prabhupada marvels at how great devotees, empowered by the Lord, can perform acts that defy ordinary understanding. Priyavrata's power was not personal, it was Lord's power flowing through a surrendered vessel. He could perform such wonderful activities because of the power he had achieved by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Priyavrata married Varishmati and fathered 10 illustrious sons and 1 daughter. The sons carried forward their father's legacy of devotion and righteous rule. He also married Suriya, his second wife, who bore 3 more sons, who from birth took the path of renunciation, a sign of the elevated spirituality of the household. His family life was not an obstacle to spirituality, it was an extension of it. His sons became kings and renunciants, like both the forms of service to the Lord. Part 3, Priyavrata's repentance and renunciation. After many years of powerful and glorious rule, Priyavrata begins deep introspection. Despite his total surrender to the great saint Narada and is on the path of Krishna consciousness, he had somehow become entangled in material activities. Thus his mind became restless and he began to speak a spirit of renunciation. He recognized the subtle truth. Even divinely sanctioned material duties can subtly distract the soul from pure devotion. This realization awakens humility and repentance. That true fulfillment lies beyond material achievements. Priyavrata criticizes himself or how condemned he was because of his sense gratification, which is exactly like a covered well and dancing like a monkey in the hands of his wife. He reawakened to his senses by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave up everything and completely renounced all attachments. He cried out from the depths of his heart. His repentance was his final purification. This is not frustration, it is awakening, where even duty is transferred in favor of pure devotional absorption. Priyavrta does what his heart had always loved to do. Srila Prabhupada writes with a deep feeling that Priyavrta is the perfect example of the ideal Vanashram Dharma, not escape from life, but life fully lived in the Lord's service, followed by return to one's eternal home. Message for all of us. Priyavrta's entire life teaches us to engage fully, serve completely, and surrender ultimately. That is the perfection of human existence. Hare Krishna.
Also super excellent. One clarification that Priyavrata ruled for 11 Arbuda years. One Arbuda is 100 million years. So it's not in terms of mantra, it's 11 Arbuda years. Rest of the presentations for both are super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for the presenters?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Super excellent presentation by both Jija Mother and by Uncle. And Jija Mother's illustrations, as always, is very helpful in making us understand the summary properly. Thank you.
In fact, the visuals, what she has depicted, always makes us for better recall value, and it registers in the mind.
Absolutely correct. So in the bigger presentation in batch 3 and 4, this is what I say to all the devotees who are preparing for the presentation, that nobody is interested in hearing. It's the visuals that will register with the audience. So in batch 3 and 4, for those who attend and those who listen to the recordings, Pragya has a paid account, I think, of the Copilot or ChatGPT, one of them, from where she gets all these amazing visuals. But still, Mother Jija's hand drawing visuals are always much better than what is available on internet, even on the paid Copilot and ChatGPT. Thank you, Mother
It's like
Jija.
home cooked food and 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 commercial food.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Very good. So again, Mother Jija and Uncle have already done a very good presentation of Canto 5, Chapter 1. I will also quickly summarize. Canto 5 is titled The Creative Impetus. Unit 21 is titled Maharaj Priyavrata, covering chapters 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1 is titled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. At the start, King Parikshit was amazed that King Priyavrata remained in household life, because the mission of human life is to realize one's self, then gradually go back home to Godhead. But a devotee actually has no attraction for household life. One may argue, why is it wrong to enjoy household life? The reply is that household life, one becomes bound by results of rotative activities. Essence of household life is sense enjoyment. And as long as one's mind is caught up in working hard for sense enjoyment, one becomes bound by reactions of fruitative activities. So this ignorance of self-realization is the greatest defeat in human life. Human form of life is specially meant for getting out of bondage of fruitative activities. But as long as one is forgetful of this life's mission, he acts like an ordinary animal focused on eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And therefore he continues his conditioned life in material world. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, one is trained from the very beginning to live like a brahmachari, not like a brahmachari, but a brahmachari. When one is completely trained in the principles of brahmacharya, he generally does not get entangled when he enters household life. So King Parikshit was astonished that King Priyavrata, although trained in principles of brahmacharya, entered household life. And Sukadeva Goswami replies with the glory of devotional service. That devotee is not interested in household life. Yes, he has spouse, children, etc. The devotee talks very affectionately with spouse and children, takes care of them, but he is not attached. There are two obstacles on the path of bhakti. One is offending a Vaishnava, and second is Lord's desire to teach the rest of the world. Still, the devotee never gives up the exalted position he has acquired, despite being checked by these impediments. So Brahmaji arrives at the scene to convince Priyavrata to take up household life. Actually, Brahmaji has come to praise Priyavrata for his high standard of renunciation, austerity, penance, and devotion, so that he would not be deviated from devotional service, even though he would accept household life. So this is Kripa Siddhi, blessings from superior. Although Brahmaji would request Priyavrata to accept household life, Priyavrata would not be out of touch with devotional service because of the blessings of Brahmaji. And of course, his spiritual master as well, Sharanarad Muni. So great personalities such as Brahmaji, Sharanarad Muni, Lord Shiva, they are also addressed as Bhagwan because they carry out the purpose of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and they carry the Lord within their heart. So Brahmaji gives various reasons to convince Priyavrata. First, he says, Lord's order is undeniable by anyone. Then, Lord's order is unavoidable by all means. Jiva is dependent on the Lord, and under the Lord's order, Jiva accepts body. All must obey Lord's order in form of varnashram. An example is cited. We saw the very beautiful visual of Mother Chicha, that how the bulls are tied by rope in their nostrils move according to the direction of the driver. Similarly, if we move according to the instructions of Vedas and Krishna, the perfect path for our lives will be set. In Bhagavad Gita 16.23 and 24, it says, Shastram Vidim. Follow the do's and don'ts according to scriptures. If we do not live according to scriptures, then we will never achieve success in life. Next reason he gives, accept with faith whatever the Lord gives us. Even liberated persons accept body. Yes, you see, it's just that the liberated person is not attached. So Priyavrata may say that household life is harmful. Therefore, Brahmaji further explains that self-controlled devotees are unaffected by harmful household life. As householder conquers his mind and senses, is like a king in fortress who conquers enemies. So seeks shelter at Lord's lotus feet and thus conquer the senses. So Priyavrata's dilemma is, Shri Narad Muni is his spiritual master and Brahmaji is his grandfather. Both Srila Narad Muni and Brahmaji are authorities. So whose order to follow and whose order to reject? Because their orders are in opposite direction. The answer is that do not reject orders of both Sri Narad Muni and Brahmaji, rather by intelligence. Follow both. Dovetail everything in Krishna's service. Since both Sri Narad Muni and Brahmaji are authorized to give instructions, Priyavrata should neglect neither of them. Rather, should use intelligence to follow the advice of both. To solve this dilemma, Srila Rupa Goswami has given a clear conception of intelligence that material affairs should be accepted without attachment and everything should be dovetailed in service of the Lord. This is real intelligence. Becoming a family man or king in the material world is not harmful if one accepts everything for Krishna's service. So Priyavrata is convinced and he accepts Lord Brahmaji's request. Priyavrata ruled the universe for 11 Arbuda years, which is 11 times 100 million years under Lord's order. Priyavrata's sons, Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana, they are in Paramahamsa ashram. They control their senses. They fix their mind on lotus feet of Vasudeva. They became advanced in devotional service and they could directly perceive the Lord. So Priyavrata's chariot divided the universe in 7 islands. And Parikshit Maharaj later on in Canto 5 is going to inquire about the dimensions of these divisions. And in response, later in Canto 5, Sukadeva Goswami will describe the horizontal and vertical structure of the universe. Now, question will become that how could Priyavrata do all this? All this is because the devotee's power is not astonishing. So finally, Priyavrata criticizes himself that somehow he has become entangled in material life. Therefore, he gives up everything to his remaining sons and he reawakened his self-realization by Lord's grace. So uncle pointed out a very nice point that this is not frustration. This is reawakening. So very nice. All of you are listening with rapt attention and having these nice realizations. This is the most appropriate way to hear, read, and relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you for always listening with rapt attention. That's a quick summary of Canto 5, Chapter 1. Any questions, comments, realizations? All right, chapter 2, we will hear from Sridhar Prabhu. I'll play his recording.
Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, titled Activities of Maharaja Agnidra. The chapter is divided into 4 parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 2, King Agnidra's rule and activities. Part 2, verses 3 to 6, King Agnidra sees Purvachitti sent by Brahmaji. Part 3, verse 7 to 16, Agnidra's flattery to attract Purvachitti. Part 4, verses 17 to 23, Agnidra's family life, descendants and attainment of Pitraloka. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, after his father Maharaj Priyavrata departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidra completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvipa as if they were his own begotten sons. Some of the predictions of Kali Yuga. The presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activity, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago, these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. In contrast to the principles of kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali Yuga, the government will be entrusted with Dasya Dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Modern heads of states are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But in this age of Kali, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaj Agnidra once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to a valley of Mandara hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachitti to Agnidra's hermitage. After dressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidra was naturally attracted to her. The girl's actions, expressions, smile, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidra was expert in flattery. Thus he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband. Because of his mellifluous words, she enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidra for many years, before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidra begot 9 sons: Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavruta, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrasva, and Ketumala. He gave them 9 islands with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidra, however, his senses unsatisfied, or was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore in his next life he was born in her celestial planet. After the death of Agnidra, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Meru named Meru Devi, Patri Rupa, Ugradamstri, Lata, Ramya, Shyama, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. Brahmaji is called Bhagavan as he carries Lord Krishna in his heart. He carries out the orders of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Brahmaji is called Bhagavan. Vishnu as Paramatma Supersoul knows the desire of living entity, and the Supersoul conveys the desires to Brahmaji. This is how Brahmaji knows the desires of Jiva, and this is how Brahmaji matches the Jiva to one of the 8.4 million life forms. So Brahmaji is omnipotent enough to know the desires of the Jiva for the purpose of creation. This does not mean Brahmaji is fully omnipotent. No, Brahmaji is omnipotent just for that purpose of matching the Jiva to the body of the 8.4 million life forms according to the Jiva's desire. Agnidra desired Pitruloka, although he is the son of a pure devotee, King Priyavrata, because Agnidra was born when King Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. Hare Krishna.
Any questions, comments, realizations for Srila Prabhu? So Srila Prabhu has already done a very good summary of Canto 5, Chapter 2. I will also quickly summarize. Future listeners should listen to Srila Prabhu's presentation. Very nice. Srila Prabhu has done. So chapter 2 is titled The Activities of Maharaj Agnidhara. The chapter is very straightforward chapter. At the start, predictions of Kali Yuga are described. One is Dasyu Dharma, means occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Government is run by those who plunder the citizens instead of protecting them. Even lawmakers plunder the citizens. Because of sinful activities of the citizens and government, rain will become increasingly scarce. There will be drought and no production of food grains. People will be eating flesh and seeds. Spiritually inclined people will be harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. So despite all such degradation in Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the supreme refuge and the only path of deliverance. So Lord Brahma is described as Bhagwan Adi Purush. Brahmaji is called Bhagwan because Brahmaji carries the Bhagwan in his heart, as well as Brahmaji carries out the orders of Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Brahmaji is also called as Bhagwan. Brahmaji understands the living entity's desire, and understanding Agnidhara's desire, Brahmaji sent the damsel Purvachiti. Super Soul knows the desire of the Jiva, and Super Soul conveys these desires of the Jiva to Brahmaji. This is how Brahmaji knows the desires of the Jiva. Brahmaji is this way omnipotent enough to know the desires of the Jiva so that Brahmaji can match the Jiva to one of the 8.4 million life forms. Brahmaji is omnipotent just for this function of running the universe. Brahmaji is not fully omnipotent. Krishna is fully omnipotent. So Agnidhara is attracted to Purvachiti and he tries to flatter her. So Agnidhara's then family life with Purvachiti is described. They had 9 sons. Last point described is that Agnidhara desired Pitraloka, even though he is son of pure devotee, Vaishnava Priyavrata, because Agnidhara was born when Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. So this is the learning from this chapter, that one should follow Garbhadan Samskar while procreating for the benefit of the soul coming in the mother's womb. And why we read this chapter number 2 is because the various personalities described are all connected to Krishna Katha. That's a quick summary of chapter 2. Any questions, comments, realizations? Abhishek Prabhu is going.
Prabhuji, please repeat the last sentence, why we read this chapter.
Yeah. Why we read this chapter, the first learning is to follow Garbhadan Samskar while procreating for the benefit of the soul coming in the mother's womb. And because the various personalities are all connected to Krishna Katha.
Thank you.
Abhishek Prabhu is going to present chapter 3.
Hare Krishna everyone, seeking permission from all devotees, Srila Prabhupada, Shri Radha Krishna, to be able to present on Srimad Bhagavatam. So this chapter describes King Nabhi's, who is the son of Maharaj Agnidhara, his sacrifice to obtain a son like Lord Vishnu, and the appearance of Lord Vishnu in the sacrificial arena. So King Nabhi and his wife Merudevi were performing a sacrifice to obtain a son just like the Lord, as they didn't have children yet. They were observing the 7 rules of prescribed duties and sacrifices to please the Lord, like sacrificing things which are personally pleasing, observing the rules of time and place, offering prayers, pleasing brahmanas, and so on. It should be noted that even though these principles allow us to receive mercy of Lord, as we are increasing our surrender by following these rules, Lord is actually pleased by our devotion. So none of these processes can make the Lord appear, but being pleased by devotional service out of his causeless mercy, Lord appears before the devotees. So in this sacrifice, Lord Vishnu appears, and the priest offer him various prayers. So the beautiful Lord is present before everyone's eyes. He is decorated with fresh forest garlands, and priests are offering heartfelt prayers, seeing the display of Lord's causeless mercy. The priest also felt regretful in trying to appease the Lord by this official sacrifice. Lord is pleased with devotion and not with our opulent offerings, because there is no scarcity of opulences for him. But engaging what we have got for our enjoyment, like wealth, frees us from the negative reaction, and it is actually for our own benefit. Someone may ask that if the sacrifice was not sufficient to invite the Lord, then why did he come? And the answer is that the Lord comes out of his own causeless mercy. Just like we can't see the transcendental form of the Lord with these blunt eyes, so the Lord comes in the form made of wood or metal to give us an opportunity to see and worship him and be benefited. Sensing that the Lord may ask the priest to ask for benedictions, the priests respond that they have already received the best benediction, that is to have the darshan of the Lord, which is rare even for pure devotees. We should know that having the association of Lord or his devotees is the barometer to check how much mercy we have received from the Lord. The priest also prayed that may the Lord help them remember him at death time when the body loses its normal functioning. The priest also felt little ashamed that King Nabhi requested uh, to get a son just like the Lord, because this is like going to the king, going to the ruler of a place and asking for few morsels of grain when the king can give much more. Similarly, asking any petty material desires to the Lord is a very small thing. And Nabi's desire to have a son like Lord is only for his own sense gratification. Asking material desires to Lord is only under the influence of Maya. But then how to be free from this influence? The answer is serving the great devotees. Finally, the priests prayed to be excused by the Lord on account of their offense for calling to the Lord for such small material things. But the Lord is so kind that he still reciprocates. Now, the Lord is pleased by the prayers of the truthful Brahmana, who are always very dear to him. Thus there is the prayer mantra for Lord Krishna. Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmane Hitaya Cha. He is always the well-wisher of sages. Being one without a second, the Lord responds that it is not possible to have a son like him, because there is no one else like him. No one is equal to or greater than him. So the Lord gives the benediction that he himself will expand by his energy and come as the son of the king and his wife. Thus the Lord appears as Rishabdev, son of Maharaj Nabhi, to teach the principles of religion to the world. Thank you for this opportunity to present. Please forgive me if there were any mistakes. Hare Krishna.
Also super excellent. Any questions, comments, realizations for Abhishek Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I seek one clarification. You have prayed for the benediction of a son like me for King Nami, but this is very difficult to obtain. Since I am the Supreme Person without a second, and since no one is equal to me. In this stage, actually what Lord means by that, Prabhuji, according to you?
Sorry, what's your inquiry?
My inquiry is, you cannot, it is difficult to obtain. God will give to the pure devotee whatever they desire, correct? Not materially, except devotional service, yes. But generally, whatever they desire, if it is legitimate, God, sorry, there are such benediction, isn't it? This is what I am little not understanding in this translation.
Abhishek Prabhu, you want to try to answer?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. If I understand your question correctly, why did the Lord say that it is not possible to fulfill this desire of King Nabhi? At
Yeah,
least verbatim, is because the king desired that they should have a son like the Lord. So it should be someone who is other than the Lord, not the Lord himself, but that other personality should be like the Lord. And Lord Krishna says, and it is also a fact, that there is no other personality who can be like the Lord, because Lord is one without a second. That is, there is no second personality who is anywhere close to the Lord. So even for Lord himself, it is impossible to fill the desire. The only way to fulfill the desire is that to have a personality like himself is he himself. So he desires to come as he fulfills the desire by becoming the Son. This is my understanding.
Fine. It is very nice. Not like him, but himself. That is the crux of the matter. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Abhishek Prabhu, thank you for correctly answering. And after we finish discussing this chapter 3, I will answer inquiries. There's a inquiry about how do you understand Lord appearing, very much similar to what Uncle is asking. And we'll read verses from Bhagavatam that this is Lord's causeless mercy. So we'll get further answered when we reach inquiry number 2 today, very soon. And Uncle can bring up his question again if it doesn't further satisfy you. Although Abhishek Prabhu has correctly answered. All right, Abhishek Prabhu has already done a very good job like the other presenters. Everyone should listen to Abhishek's presentation. I will also quickly summarize. Chapter 3 is titled Rishabdev's Appearance in the Womb of Merudevi, the wife of King Nabi. So Lord Vishnu appears in King Nabi's sacrifice. The actual reason for Lord's appearance is Lord is Bhakta Vatsal, very affectionate to his devotees. Lord appeared before Nabi, who worshipped Lord with great faith and devotion. And this doing sacrifices, that is secondary. Devotion is the primary cause for Lord's appearance. There are 7 ways to obtain mercy of the Lord. One is sacrifice valuable things or eatables. The place should be appropriate. The time should be appropriate. You chant the appropriate mantra. The priest should be present. Charity to the priest should be given, and follow the regulative principles. As the Lord is present in front of everyone, the beautiful features of the Lord are described similar to other places in Srimad Bhagavatam because the same Lord has appeared. Then the prayers are offered by the priest that we are servants. You, O my Lord, are transcendental. Chanting your glories is auspicious. The priests are regretful, thinking themselves to be without devotion. Therefore, the priests are saying, Oh Lord, you are self-satisfied, but we need material benedictions. Lord is Atmaram. Lord does not need anything. So the purpose of gorgeous arrangements for the Lord are actually meant for our benefit. If we engage our opulences in constructing gorgeous temple and making gorgeous offerings, we are freed from the reactions of our endeavors. Question becomes, why did the Lord appear? The answer is, Lord appeared by his causeless mercy. And the similar causeless mercy is Lord appearing in the Archa Vigra form. The priests point out to the rarity of Lord's darshan, even for elevated sages. The priest asked for a benediction to remember the Lord and point out Nabi's foolish desire of desiring a son like the Lord instead of wanting the Lord as the son. The priest revealed the reason for Nabi having this material desire is because he is not associated with great devotees. So devotee association is emphasized in these prayers by the priest, that unless one worships the lotus feet of devotees, it is very difficult to conquer Maya. Devotion is emphasized in these prayers and not just performing some rituals. So Lord is pleased and Lord gives the benediction. So the Lord cannot find anyone equal to him. So the Lord says, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion Rishabdev and appear as the son of Nabi. That's a quick summary of chapter 3. Any questions, comments, realizations? So spiritual endeavor for next week is that read Canto 5, Chapter 4. I will now answer inquiries submitted by devotees from last class. Question number 1. Could you please explain the sacrifices of acting in terms of place and acting in time? So we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, that sacrifices, austerities, charities, etc. has to be at appropriate place. That place should be clean. You cannot do sacrifices at crematorium. And time, auspicious time, such as Brahma Muhurta for chanting. So chanting is a sacrifice, right? So that's why it's emphasizing that place, time is also important. Does that answer the inquiry?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. So this is the question we were discussing earlier about uncle's question. So priest said, Lord may appear even to his pure devotees. So what to understand from his special mercy to come this time? So we have discussed this in Canto 1, Chapter 6, verses 18 to 20. We'll soon read these verses. That when Krishna appeared in front of Srila Narad Muni and then disappeared from the vision of Srila Narad Muni, then Srila Narad Muni tried to see the Lord again by following the same Bhakti Yoga process. But Krishna did not appear. In that purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord is completely independent. We cannot control the Lord, just as we cannot control when the sun should rise. And further, in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.16.2, we'll read that also today. Same point is explained with the word Atma Mayaya. When the Lord appeared from the dead body of Vena, that Lord can appear whichever way he likes. He is completely independent. So let's read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6, verses 18, 19, 20, translation and purport. Shivangi, I have it on screen. 18, 19, 20. Maybe you can read one and we'll let others read the other. 18, translation and purport. Shivangi.
Hare Krishna. Translation. The transcendental form of the Lord, as it is, satisfies the mind's desire and at once eases all mental income. Upon losing the form, I suddenly be perturbed, as is usual when one loses that which is desirable. Perfect. That the Lord is not formless is experienced by Narada Muni, but his form is completely different from all forms of our material experience. From the whole duration of our life, we go on seeing different forms in the material world, but none of them is just apt to satisfy the mind, nor can any one of them banish all disturbance of the mind. These are the special features of the transcendental form of the Lord, and one who has once seen that form is not satisfied with anything else. No form in the material world can any longer satisfy the seer. That the Lord is formless or impersonal means that he has nothing like a perpetual form and is not like any material personality. As spiritual beings, having eternal relations with that transcendental form of the Lord, we are, life after life, searching after that form of the Lord, and we are not satisfied by any other form of material appeasement. Narada Muni got a glimpse of this, but having not seen it again, he became perturbed and stood up all of a sudden to search it out. When we desire life after life, what we desire life after life was obtained by Narada Muni, and losing sight of him again was certainly a great shock for him. Education.
Shalini 19 translation purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. I desired to see again that transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him any more, and thus dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved. Purport. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. It completely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. The sun rises out of his own accord, so also the Lord is pleased to be present out of his causeless mercy. One should simply wait the opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty in devotional service of the Lord. Narad Muni thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process which was successful in the first attempt, but in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. The Lord is completely independent of all obligations. He can simply be bound up by the tie of unalloyed devotion. Nor is he visible or perceived by our material senses. When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen out of his causeless accord. Hare Krishna.
We'll come back to verse 19. Chandran Prabhu, 20 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Seeing my attempts in the lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendent to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words, just to mitigate my grief. Purport. In the Vedas, it is said that God is beyond the approach of mundane words and intelligence. And yet, by his causeless mercy, one can have suitable senses to hear him or to speak to him. This is the Lord's inconceivable energy. One upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with the Narada Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him, so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. It was a special gift for Narada. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent mitigated. A devotee in love with God feels always the pangs of separation and is therefore always enwrapped in transcendental ecstasy. Correct.
Right, so in verse 19, we clearly read, Prabhupada says, that Lord comes by his causeless mercy. We cannot demand. We simply have to wait for an opportune moment and continue discharging our prescribed devotional services. So similarly, right now also, the Lord appearing as son of Nabi Rishabdev is also by his causeless mercy. And we'll also read 4.16.2. Abhishek Prabhu, faster pace, 4.16.2 translation purport, that how Krishna appeared from the dead body of Vena.
Translation. The reciters continued, Dear King, you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, and by his causeless mercy you have descended to this earth. Therefore, it is not possible for us to actually glorify your exalted activities. Although you have appeared through the body of King Vena, even great orators and speakers like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot exactly describe the glorious activities of your lordship. Purport. In this verse, the word Maya means by your causeless mercy. The Mayavadi philosophers explain the word Maya as meaning illusion or falseness. However, there is another meaning of Maya, that is, causeless mercy. There are two kinds of Maya, Yogmaya and Mahamaya. Mahamaya is an expansion of Yogmaya, and both these Mayas are different expressions of the Lord's internal potencies. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord appears through his internal potency, Atma Maya. We should therefore reject the Mayavadi explanation that the Lord appears in a body given by external potency, the material energy. The Lord and his incarnation are fully independent and can appear anywhere and everywhere by virtue of the internal potency. Although born out of the so-called dead body of King Vena, King Prithvi was still an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the Lord's internal potency. The Lord can appear in any family. Sometimes he appears as a fish incarnation, Matsya Avatar, or a boar incarnation, Varaha Avatar. Thus the Lord is completely free and independent to appear anywhere and everywhere by his internal potency. It is stated that Ananta, an incarnation of the Lord, who has unlimited mouths, cannot reach the end of his glorification of the Lord, although Anant has been describing the Lord since time immemorial. So what to speak of demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and others? It is said that Lord is Shiva Virinchi Nutam, always worshipped by demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. If the demigods cannot find adequate language to express the glories of the Lord, then what to speak of others? Consequently, reciters like the Sutta and Magadha felt inadequate to speak about King Prithru.
Right, the word Atma Mayaya, that the Lord is fully independent, can appear from anywhere and anywhere by his internal potency. Does that answer the inquiry number 2 and earlier question by Uncle?
Yes, Prabhuji. Moral of the story. The Lord, by his causeless mercy, will appear when he desires.
Correct.
And if you are anticipating and getting disappointed if he doesn't appear at all, that is not right.
Yeah,
That
you
is
just
the
have to
message.
wait. We read in 1.16.19 that Prabhupada says, you just wait for an opportune moment. Continue doing your devotional services. And when the Lord will be satisfied by your devotional service, he will appear.
Thank you.
Shalini Gopal.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just one more thing regarding chanting, the stages of chanting Prabhu. As we continue our chanting, we reach a stage. First, we can see the form of the Lord. Then we see the abode of the Lord. Then we see the pure pastimes of the Lord. And the last is we actually participate in the pastimes, Prabhu.
So in Canto 1, Chapter 6, Narad Muni has described how the Lord appeared, that first he perceived everything through his senses, like the nose, the ear, the sight, and his senses were enlivened. And that's how he saw the darshan. Yeah, your point is not incorrect. In terms of the starting point, the darshan is described in Canto 1, Chapter 6. Shalini?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
Yeah, the point you are describing is far away. I am first focused on my anartha nivritti, right? So
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
participating in pastimes is quite far away. Gopal.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I feel I don't think we should have any anxiety that we want to see the Lord's form. I think all that, at least from my position, I feel I just want to follow the regulatory principles, really do the chanting with utmost, sincerity, and just focus on anartha nivati, and just feel always to be accepted as servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And that's what I'm saying, that
Surrender.
participating
Yet
in
to reach the level of fully surrendering. Even now, so many times we have anxiety, these material things do impact us. We are not, at least in I should have been surrendered far more than what I am surrendered. I think even that surrendering process, I am still in the process. I think not to have the anxiety. God appears, he'll appear when he feels I'm actually deserved of seeing his form. Till such time, just work and just follow the principle. Acharyas have given us the tools and ways of leading the life. Just follow that. That's all I feel.
absolutely correct, bang to the point, and therefore I was pointing out to Shaliti's point that participating in pastimes is far away. My focus right now is anartha nivritti. Very good. Thank you. Question number 3. Is Rishabdev a scheduled incarnation of this Yuga timeline? So scriptures have mentioned Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as scheduled incarnation. Other incarnations will appear for specific task. Last question for today. Who is the devotee here for whom Lord came, king or the priest? So both Nabi and the priest are devotees. Lord appeared as son of Nabi, hence Nabi is a devotee. And priests are reciting prayers, therefore priests are devotees. Only devotees can recite prayers. Does that answer all the inquiries?
Regarding this schedule incarnation, other incarnations which are coming for specific purposes, are they not scheduled?
They would be scheduled, but in terms of your question is for this yuga, right? That was your question.
Sorry, I meant Chatur Yuga, sorry.
Yes.
Like what we read in like that, let's say the 24 the incarnations which we read in Bhagavatam.
They are not 24, they are much more.
Much more, yes.
Yeah, in Canto 1, Chapter 3, there are 22 listed, just to point out 1.3.28 that all incarnations are coming from Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagwan tu Swayam. So, yes, Bhagavatam gives brief explanations that, okay, he is Shakti Avesha Avatar. He is here for so and so purpose. But the scheduled incarnation, for say for Kali Yuga, is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So like my doubt is that when other incarnations come, is it a pre-decided thing that they are going to come in this yuga or at this time? Let's say for other yugas also, or
Yeah, it's pre-decided. For example, the end of Kali Yuga, Krishna will appear as Kalki Avatar. It's already known.
So the advent of Rishabdev is also a known thing before he actually comes.
Doesn't say that way. It just says that he is incarnation of the Lord.
Okay. So my question is because like both points are said that there are scheduled incarnations, but it is also said that Lord is independent to appear. So I was just thinking if there are some incarnations which we know are which is just Lord independently appearing rather than being a scheduled incarnation.
And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a perfect example for this inquiry, that although it's said in Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually an unscheduled incarnation. Yes, it's said. So the schedule says Krishna will appear once in one day of Brahmaji. So if you look through that, Krishna has already appeared 5,000 years ago during Mahabharata times. And 4,500 years later, Krishna again appears as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, yes, it is said in scriptures that this is a hidden incarnation. But if you look at the schedule, Krishna was only supposed to be once in the day of Brahmaji. So right now we are in a very special yuga that Krishna has appeared twice within such a short time. And this described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that on the advice or the request of his devotee that come and teach the devotional mellow. That's one of the reasons. So there are internal and external reasons given in Chaitanya Charitamrita Canto 1, in the Adi Leela at the very start. Abhishek Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Thank you all for tolerating 5-6 extra minutes. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.